Welcome once again to Woodruff Family Wisdom at ppptime.com, and my name is Rose.
I'm Daryl.
And today we have a subject that's very, very dear to both of us, and not only to us, I'm sure it's going to be very dear to your heart as well, because I'm sure most of us are believing God not only for promotions on your job. I'm sure you believe in God for a business. I think we're going to start with something that really happened to my husband. I think, was it last summer or summer before last, when we have a guy who comes over who mows the grass and for our rental property, and a lot of times he picks up his money here, and he just happened to see where my son worked.
Yeah, my son was parked out front, and he saw the car. He said, "Oh, he worked for them," and he said, "Big responsibility." Yeah, ability is the root word for responsibility, and so with much ability that you're trying to obtain to make more money comes with great responsibility. We might not get much into responsibility, but we definitely want to deal with ability. We're going to touch it a little bit. A lot of things that are brewing in our hearts, but we're going to try to bite you off just a little bit. If it piques your interest, and you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and give us some comments and let us know you like what we share. We'll share more.
You might get part 2. Hit the like button.
Yes. All right.
Because it's very important. And I just want to say, because today I've been pondering this word and really meditating on this word today, and it was hit me and it gut punched me. I'm just going to say it like that. It really just gut punched me. Because I'm like, I'm believing God for so many things, and for him to say ability, because, we just want that ability to drop out the sky. I know what it was. We wanted to be like the Matrix. How when every time he needed to fight, he could go to the machine and he can plug it up and he's downloaded, right? We know God have the ability to download us with information. But the Bible said add excellence to your faith. So sometimes we may have to go an extra mile in order to get this ability, in order to run this business, or to get this promotion, or to be a manager. So this is a word today that I think is going to really benefit each of us. And I think we're going to start in Matthew. Is that where you're going to start? Where are you going to start?
We're starting in Matthew, but just something that came to my spirit when you said that, like getting that download. Even Jesus, when he was 12 years old, he sat with the doctors and got information from them, and was asking them great questions in order for him to download. And then the Spirit of God began to allow him to interpret that information, or really digest that information, and be able to answer questions for them. So God will work.
1 second, because we have a plane, and we are on the patio, because on Facebook we are Patio Prayer and Praise Time. So we do all our videos from the patio, because it's so pleasant, and this is where God meets us, on the patio. So if we say, excuse us, there's a plane coming over, we're going to try to take a little break and let the plane pass. So sometimes we don't hear it because we're so caught up. Yeah, and we are close to 2 airports, actually, a personal airport as well as DFW. So sorry to interrupt you, babe.
Right. So we were just talking about how Jesus, at 12 years old, was sitting with the doctors and just asking them intelligent questions, and then it seemed like the Spirit of God just got on him to be able to understand that information they was giving him, and then they began to ask him questions, and they were just stunned by it. But it's like, if you don't yield to the Lord and allow him to give you ability,
right? And
then we're going to talk about some of the ways that you should be able to get those abilities. But let's get started in the Word of God.
Yes.
We're going to Matthew 25.
And first, honey's going to read it in the King James, and then we're going to read it in the Passion translation as well.
Starting at verse 14. Matthew 25, verse 14. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. 5, 2, 1. And to every man according to his several ability. And straightway he took his journey. Talk about that a little bit.
Keyword is ability.
Keyword is ability. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. In other words, he got 100-fold return.
Got 100-fold return.
His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. And he said, Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. There again, 100-fold, or 100% return on the money. Not 100-fold, 100%. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee, that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gathered where I have not strong. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which have 10 talents.
Okay, that's a stop there, and then let's go to the Passion translation. When we get to the Passion, we're going to read that last.
The Passion translation started at verse 14. Again, heaven's kingdom is like a wealthy man who went on a long journey and summoned all his trusted servants and assigned his financial management over to them.
Okay, let's start right there. Because this says, again, heaven's kingdom. And so we always talk about, when you hear the word kingdom, it's God's way of doing things and being right. So this is how God's kingdom operates.
Right.
Okay.
It's like a wealthy man who went on a long journey and summoned all his trusted servants and assigned his financial management over to them. Before he left on his journey, he entrusted a bag of 5,000 gold coins to one of his servants, to another a bag of 2,000 gold coins, and to the third a bag of 1,000 gold coins, each according to his ability to manage.
Right.
The one entrusted with 5,000 gold coins immediately went out and traded with the money, and he doubled his investment. All right, 100% return. In the same way, the one who was entrusted with 2,000 gold coins traded with the sum, and likewise doubled his investment, 100% return. But the one who had been entrusted with 1,000 gold coins dug a hole in the ground and buried his master's money. After much time has passed, the master returned to settle accounts with his servant. The one who was entrusted with 5,000 gold coins came and brought 10,000, saying, See, I have doubled your money. Commending his servant, the master replied, You have done well in proving yourself to be my loyal and trustworthy servant, because you have been a faithful steward to manage a small sum. Now I will put you in charge of much, much more. You will experience the delight of your master, who will say to you, Enter into the joy of the Lord. Then the one who had been entrusted with 2,000 gold coins came in and said, See, my master, I have doubled what you have entrusted to me. Commended his servant, the master replied, You have done well in proving yourself to be my loyal and trustworthy servant. Because because you were faithful to manage a small sum, now I will put you in charge of much, much more. You will experience the delight of your master, who will say to you, enter into the joy of your Lord. Then the one who had been entrusted with 1,000 gold coins came to his master and said, look, sir, I know that you are a hard man to please, and you're a shrewd and ruthless businessman who grows rich on the backs of others. I was afraid of you, so I went and hid your money and buried it in the ground. But here it is, take it, it's yours. But his master said to him, you're untrustworthy and lazy servant. If you knew I was a shrewd and ruthless businessman who always makes a profit, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? Then I would have received it all back with interest when I returned. But because you were unfaithful, I will take the 1,000 gold coins and give them to the one who has 10,000. For the one who has will be given more until he overflows with abundance. And the one with hardly anything, even what little he has, will be taken from him.
That's awesome. And the reason why this is such a rough word is because we all are looking for promotion. Right? And the Bible lets us know, and you can go ahead and talk about this too, honey, that promotion doesn't come from the east or the west, that it comes from the Lord. Not only talking about physical skills, we're also talking about mental ability to manage or to operate, right?
Later, you alluded to mental ability, or well, we like to look at it from an emotional standpoint too, right? Management, especially when you're dealing with people, you have to have your soul prosper. And we look at the soul in the kingdom of God as the thermostat to whether or not how you prosper. The Bible says you'll prosper and be in health even as your soul prospers. If you run and try to prosper, your soul gonna dial you back to the income that your soul is set at.
Yeah.
Because emotionally you're not, and cognitively you're not capable. That's why the Bible said, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind," or let that engrafted word save that soul.
Save your soul.
What Psalms, it says that we're wonderfully, beautiful made, but that our soul knows right well. So your soul got to get renewed to understand. So even with this parable right here, you have to look at this. God is our boss.
And just talk about the last servant who didn't do anything with his money.
Right.
His emotions is the reason why he didn't achieve anything. He didn't double his money. He says, I know how you are.
Yeah, he went to judging them.
He went to judging them emotionally. So he didn't want, he's like, I don't want to get beat up. I know how you are. I'm just going to give your money back.
Right.
So a lot of times, and I even talk to people who have made well financially, but their emotions are still out there where they don't have the ability to even maintain money. They're still in an old mindset where everything they get, they spend. You know, they don't have the ability to save. So you really have to even have the ability mentally to save money.
So since you're going there, we might as well go at this back the right way, right? Because if you think about it, the story is told from the greatest and the ultimate situation that you want to be in, all the way down to saving. So let's go there. You know, the Bible said, go to the ant, you slugger, right? One thing the ant do is in the wintertime, or in the summertime, he's gathering up his bread and items that he needs in the wintertime, because he can't function when the snow is on the ground and the weather's cold like that. He has to be deep in the ground with everything that he needs. And then sometimes storms come, and you got to be prepared. You know, so God told us to go to the ant. In other words, that ant, he know how to put money up. So the first level of ability you should have is the ability to save money. Right. If everything that come in your hands goes out, in fact, if you obligate everything to come into your hand, that it got to go out toward credit, because you obligated it. You went as far as not only to spend all the money in your pocket, you spending future funds that's coming.
Right. So on
They're
that
already-
note, like I said, we're starting at the bottom, working our way up.
Right.
So he said,
You should
him
at least
that-
did that. Yeah,
so
same.
first,
Yeah.
to him that hath,
Mm-hmm. So
more will be given. But him that hath not, even that which he had,
seemeth to have.
it's going to be taken away. So if you don't even have the ability to save, if you don't put up, right?
Right.
So when the storms come, even that you had
Yeah.
will be taken away. So the first level
well,
is to be able to save.
But yeah, the first level is to be able to say, but I'm gonna back it up just a little step further.
Okay.
Because he said that which he seemeth to have.
Okay.
Now, if you got something paid in full, you have it.
Right.
If you got it leveraged with a loan on it, you seem to have it. You know what I'm saying? You really don't have
You
it.
really don't have it.
Right.
It's not true.
Because if a storm comes, or something comes, they come get that if you quit making that payment.
Right. And I'm thinking about what you told your sister one time.
Yeah.
When you told her
Yes,
at least
I
you
remember. Yeah.
at zero.
Right.
You know, it's even sometimes people be at zero,
Right.
and then you below less than zero.
Right.
Remember that
Like
movie, Less Than Zero?
Less than zero. If you got plenty of debt, here you $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in debt. Yeah, you might be working and it look like you got it going on. You seem it to have.
And you less than zero.
Yeah, you
But
less than zero.
Right.
But somebody else, they might say, man, I don't have this and I don't have that and everything else. They don't have no bills or nothing. They don't have no income or whatever. They just at ground zero. You don't owe nobody nothing.
But dead zero.
Right.
That's
All you gotta
better
do is
than-
go get you some ability and pull it forward, right? So, but I just wanted to put in there, you seem to have it. So as soon as you hit a glitch, like we talked about them storms, instead of you being able to go to the savings and be able to deal with them storms, what it looked like you have, people looking at you and think you got it going on, next thing you know, it ain't there no more.
Right. I can remember that's the
They
first
call that foreclosure and repossession.
repossession. That was the first thing I think. That was the first thing we taught our children. That scripture right there. When we taught them to save, we was like, to him that hath, more will be given. In other words, God said He would prosper what you put your hands to. So if you start putting $1 up, next thing you know, you'll be able to put up 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we taught our children not only to give a dime, but to save a dime.
Right.
So, okay, so that's your first. Let's go to number 2. Because he told the other guy, then he told him at least you can do.
Right. The least you should have did was put it in savings. So first of all, if we're going back and deal with that first point, if you seem to have, right, you got to get out of the seem to have mode.
Right.
Right. So in other words, quit charging and obligating future money. You see what I'm saying? Actually have the house. Actually have the car. Actually have. If you can't pay for it with cash, well, guess what? In order for you to begin to pay with cash, you're gonna have to have some cash.
Yeah.
So now you got to begin to gather money and at least put it in interest-bearing account.
And I'm going to say this too, because we was talking about this the other day. Because the scripture says to owe no man but to love him, right?
Right.
But one thing that God shared with us, and He said, not to charge anymore, right?
Right.
So that's something we got rid of, years ago. But then He said, but if you are paying for something, remember
It's already on.
it's on a term.
Right.
So the term is going to be up soon.
Right.
Remember, the term will be up.
But you
So
have to make the systemic change not to charge anymore.
not to charge anymore.
Right.
Once that term is
So
up.
how can you not charge anymore? See, since we're going there, let me just tell you what the Lord told me. Not my whole story, but I'm just going to talk about this one principle in here.
We'll see if it get edited or not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No. He told me that you have to make the systemic change not to charge anymore.
Right.
When you can do that, you have to have the abundance of cash to start operating by cash. If you take all of your cash and you start accelerating notes and paying off mortgages, and you're paying off everything, then when a calamity or something happens, you took all your resources and put it on those notes. Now you got to go back and borrow for the crisis.
Right.
So what you should do, and this is foundational teaching from like Dave Ramsey, Robert Kiyosaki, I want to say John Abbazini. Yeah, great forerunners that teach you to put up an emergency fund and put at least 6 months of your income up, in case you have to re-educate yourself, whatever the situation is.
Right.
But the
And
point
just
is,
in case you need to change your
yeah,
grab some ability.
grab some abilities. You know what I'm saying? So, but he said you can't never change from borrowing until you have monies that you can operate from. So you have to start accumulating. You got to start accumulating. You got to start putting to the side. So I just wanted to say that.
And you know what? It's really fun because I asked my children at the start of the pandemic, and I said, "What would you do differently?" Got an airplane coming, so 1 second. Just give us like 10 seconds. He's just flying over. But I asked my children. I said, "What would you do differently right after the pandemic started?" And the majority of them was saying that they wish they would have saved more money, because I had this one daughter she was just paying all of her bills, just to be debt free, and I think she even accomplished that. But she did start last year, I think, for a minute maybe, just to put back because of the pandemic. But she said she wished she just wouldn't have been so tenacious of paying off all of those bills, because first you have to have some cash, and we always teach our kids keep the
And
cash.
as we go into the next principle, you'll realize, even though the king gave them the money, it takes money. We always heard people say it takes money to make money. So if you're saving money, you're putting that money in the interest-bearing account. That's step number 2, really.
That's the least you can do.
Right. That's step number 2. Number 3, you need to have the ability to be able to make the money grow yourself. Right. These individuals, the first one, he gave him the admonishment that he should at least put it in an interest-bearing account. Yeah. The second guy from the bottom, he said, he gave him according to his abilities, and his abilities was able to get 100% return on what he was getting. Right. And of course, the other one was able to do the same. Right. But the Bible says, if you be faithful to that which belongs to another man, he'll give you your own. A lot of times you learn that management by being faithful with other people's stuff. Because later on, you'll find that as we read other chapters, that he gave them rulership over other cities, and so they begin to go into leadership and management. Right?
And you know what? Like I said at the beginning of that, this is how the kingdom of God works. Right. So God has given each of us according to our abilities. Right? So if you want more, you have to get more abilities. Okay, say for example, I was telling Honey today, I said everybody wants to drive a Benz or say an Audi or some type of foreign car or whatever. Right. Right? And I can remember when Honey used to take X card down the Walmart, we paid $30 for oil change, right? So now you need to have the ability, if you're gonna kick it up a notch, you need to have the ability to pay $500 oil change, and not on the oil change, because every time you pull it in there, they want $1,000, they want to say do something so you got to have the ability to for more. Right. You got to have the ability for more. So if you want to be a millionaire, you need to go and get the ability to be a millionaire. You need to learn how to pay taxes on $1 million. You need to know how to run a corporation.
Right. My money that I put in your hands. Right. Even with me and Rose, we got business endeavors going on. Whatever we do, we have a spreadsheet where it calculates the rate of return. If we buy something and we invest it and we sell it and everything, what is the rate of return? We learned from these scriptures that we're telling you now that God intended for us to get at the least 100-fold return. Right. But I'm not getting to the 100-fold return yet. 100% return. 100%.
But the main reason why we want to share this today is because so many of us are believing God for the blessings of Abraham, to be a lender and not to be a borrower, to be above only and to never be beneath. But if you can't mentally or physically have the skill set, you can never get that blessing, because God don't want to hurt you. I was just telling that Honey, if God give you $1 million today and you don't know how to pay taxes on it, He ain't trying to let you go to jail. He'd rather you just don't have the money.
That's right.
So you got to go get the skill set or go get the ability to obtain wealth.
Okay, so we've talked this stuff. Get the ability. Yeah.
Like He said, He would give us the power or the ability to obtain wealth. So we have to go get that ability or that power, and to add to our faith excellence, which is the ability to run a corporation or to run a business.
Right. I was thinking as we scaled up this ladder, we talked about not having things and seem to have it, but actually have it. Have the being able to pay cash, right? And allowing those terms to pass, and actually you paying off things. But accumulate the cash. The next step was to accumulate the cash and having the interest-bearing accounts. Then we saw the other ones obtain abilities to trade and to exchange,
Make that money.
and to make that money make money. 100% return on the money, the two servants. But I want to talk about the tops, the top scale, because you mentioned it when you said we're the head, not the tail, above only, never beneath, and we're lenders and not borrowers. So the ultimate place to be is to be like Christ and be the one with the money who's looking for the people with the abilities to have them grow your money. Right. Now you have the ability to manage them and to hold them accountable, but I receive the passive residual income because I lend you the money, and I reap the return on that, and we all share in it. It's win-win. But you the cash holder. If you see people flipping these houses and they using their skills or whatever, they got the financial backer behind them. They just go out there and see the opportunities, use their skill set, flip the house. They get a piece. They give pay the man back who they borrowed the money from.
And guess what?
You the lender.
We are running out of time.
Oh my.
However, we will do part 2 on ability, on your getting the power to obtain wealth, or your ability to obtain wealth. Because I want to come back next time. I want to talk about my virtual birthday party.
Yes,
where we played this game where I had $25 million and I gave each one of my family members $2 million, and we asked them what would they do with the $2 million. And when we come back next time, we'll talk about what their answers were and what now I probably would have said differently, even with my portion.
Right. We'll go into the book of Luke and study this from another perspective.
We will talk about how to get that ability as well. How you can get downloaded like the Matrix.
It is the will of God.
Yes.
That you have the ability. Because God is our boss.
Right.
Right. And promotion don't come from the east or from the west. It comes from the Lord. And if the Lord is our boss, then he want to ensure that we have the ability to have that income and that cash flow that we show desire. So now you remember
that you are
happy, healthy, wealthy, fit, and forgiven.
And remember to hit that like button and subscribe. God bless.